in the stillness of the desert night, where stars whispered secrets in silver light. He walked alone, his heart heavy yet bright, a soul torn between duty and desire's fight. The wind carried stories of love and pain, of promises made and hearts left in vain. In every shadow, memories would remain, echoing softly like a gentle, haunting strain. His voice, long dormant, trembled with thought, words unspoken, battles internally fought. The world around him in silence caught, while inside his chest a storm fiercely wrought. Years of restraint had carved a hollow deep, moments lost like tears he could not weep. He held secrets in the corners of sleep, and dreams that in waking hours would creep. Beneath the crown, beneath the shining face, lay a man with yearning lost in time and space. The silence around him, a fragile lace, could not hide the tremor he could not erase. The city slept, unaware of his pain. Its lights flickered, soft like a gentle rain. But he wandered streets in his mind's domain, seeking voices that could break his chain. And there she was, in the corridors of thought. A name repeated, a battle long fought. Her absence a wound, in memory caught. A melody of longing that could not be bought. He stopped at the edge of the quiet square, fingers brushing air as if she were there. The night listened, patiently aware of a heart about to speak, stripped bare. "How long," he whispered, to the emptiness wide, "have I hidden the sorrow I carry inside? The truth that I've buried, the tears I've cried, will it shatter the walls where my secrets hide?" The silence answered only with sighs. The stars blinked softly in their distant skies. But he felt a surge, a spark that would rise, a fire to break the calm, to voice his cries. A bird in the distance took flight, as if to signal the end of night. And in that moment, bathed in silver light, Sheikh Hamdan found courage to voice his plight. He spoke to the wind, to the city, to the stars, words flowing freely, releasing unseen scars. Of love and betrayal, of wounds and wars, of longing that followed him through endless hours. No longer a shadow, no longer confined, he broke the silence that had gripped his mind. Every syllable, a promise, a sign that he would no longer leave his heart behind. The city heard nothing, yet everything changed, for his soul had spoken, rearranged. A bridge rebuilt, a silence estranged, a man reborn, no longer chained. The moon bent low, casting silver threads, guiding him onward where destiny treads. A heart once quiet, now loudly weds, truth and courage where fear once spread. The dawn crept softly over the silent dunes, painting gold on the scars of hidden tunes. He walked alone beneath awakening moons, feeling the weight of unshed afternoons. Each step echoed against the empty streets, a rhythm of heartbeats, of secret defeats. The city, still wrapped in the morning sheets, could not guess the storm in his heart repeats. Memories lingered like whispers of smoke, of promises broken, of words he never spoke. Each one a flame, a chain, a yoke, binding him tight as the silence awoke. Faces passed, unaware of his pain, yet he carried their shadows like ghosts in the rain. Love unreturned, a ceaseless chain, echoed within him like a haunting refrain. He thought of her, her laughter, her tears, the fleeting moments, the unspoken fears. Her absence had stretched through endless years, and yet in his chest she still appeared. The market stirred with the morning's call, voices mingling, life awakening all. But he remained in his private thrall, where silence reigned and shadows fall. He reached the fountain where waters gleamed, reflecting the man who had long dreamed. A crown upon him yet silently beamed, a king of whispers, of hopes redeemed. His reflection stared steady and true, eyes filled with storms of silver and blue. The world outside he no longer knew, for inside him a voice loudly grew. It spoke of courage, of breaking free, of daring to speak to let the world see. No longer a captive of fear or plea, he would speak his truth, let it be. The streets began to hum with awakening life, yet he felt calm amid potential strife. His words, once chained like a sharpened knife, now promised release from endless inner rife. He raised his hand to the sky above, and whispered her name with trembling love. The wind carried it, like wings of a dove, across the city that never knew of. The silence broke in a gentle shiver, a spark of hope, a soul's river. He vowed never again to let it wither. This voice inside that made him quiver. The people around him, unaware and blind, moved with their lives while he redefined. His inner world, no longer confined, he discovered strength in the words aligned. At midday, the sun struck harsh and bright, yet he felt calm, his heart alight. The battle within, once endless night, now surrendered to courage, to speaking right. He thought of friends, of family near, and knew their love had always been clear. Yet this silence had fed his deepest fear, a loneliness only his heart could hear. So he wrote in the sands with trembling hand, lines of longing, lines unplanned. The wind swept them over the desert land, yet the act itself made him stand. A messenger of the heart, unseen, unheard, yet his soul felt lighter with every word. No longer silent, no longer deferred, his voice rang out like a breaking bird. Even the rivers in their gentle flow seemed to echo what he came to know. That silence, though powerful, could not hold a heart that dared to be brave and bold. By evening, the city hummed beneath twilight, yet he felt an inner, quiet delight. His confession, his truth, like morning light, had begun to conquer the endless night. He would speak to her, to those who remain, his words of sorrow, of love, of pain. For silence, he learned, could never restrain a heart that is ready to rise again. And as the stars peeked through dusk's embrace, he lifted his gaze steady in face. No longer hidden, no longer erased, he walked forward with honor and grace. The silence was broken, the first of many. And the path ahead, though not yet any, was filled with courage, fierce and uncanny, a voice awakened, pure and uncanny. The night deepened, folding over the city's light, yet within his chest a fire burned bright. No longer shadowed, no longer contrite, he felt the pulse of courage, sudden, outright. Every step echoed in the silent streets, a rhythm of heartbeats, of newfound feats. Memories rose like waves, relentless beats, yet he faced them fully, accepting their heat. He recalled her laughter, soft and serene, moments of warmth in days unseen. The spaces between where he had been were now filled with longing, sharp and keen. He thought of the nights he had silently wept, of promises broken, of secrets kept. Yet in the darkness his soul had leapt, and the chains of silence quietly slept. By the fountain, beneath the moon's embrace, he saw her face in the water's trace. The reflection shimmered, delicate grace, a vision of love he could no longer chase. But the silence, long his closest friend, could no longer hide, could no longer defend. It was time for words to break, to bend, to heal the wounds, to make amends. He took a breath, deep and slow, feeling the courage begin to grow. The city around him continued its flow. Yet inside him, the truth started to show. I have hidden too long, I have feared too deep, he whispered aloud, unable to keep. The feelings that churned and would not sleep, the voice that longed to leap. The stars above seemed to lean and hear, every word trembling, sincere and clear. The wind carried whispers, drawing near, as though the universe itself would steer. The streets felt empty, yet full of sound. His own voice, liberated, unbound. No longer captive, no longer drowned by silence that had long been profound. He thought of friends who had stood by him, family who loved and laughter dim, of journeys shared, of hopes so slim, yet now restored, the future not grim. He remembered the pain of love unspoken, of hearts torn apart, of vows broken. Yet in this night his courage awoken, a bridge rebuilt, a bond unbroken. The desert breeze whispered through the trees, carrying his words with elegant ease. It seemed to bless him, to aim to please, as if urging him forward, to heal, to appease. He walked past the markets, past the gates, through the city streets, past the palace estates. Each step a release from the heavy weights, each step a defiance of fear and fates. A lamp flickered softly, inviting him near, and for a moment he shed a quiet tear. The weight of years, of doubt, of fear, fell from his shoulders, disappearing clear. He spoke again, softly, to no one but night. My heart will no longer hide from sight. No more shadows, no more fright. I will claim my voice, claim my right. In the palace, guards watched from afar, unaware of the battle inside the star. The silence he carried, like a jar, had shattered completely, leaving a scar. Yet scars are proof of what once was endured, of battles fought, of hearts reassured. And in his chest, courage matured. A voice awakened, steady and secured. The moon rose high, silver and bright, bathing the city in gentle light. And Sheikh Hamdan, with renewed sight, prepared to reveal his soul outright. For silence is a prison of delicate threads, of unspoken truths, of whispered dreads. But he had found the strength that spreads, and in its warmth his courage treads. By night's end he was ready to speak, to confront the past, to mend the weak, no longer silent, no longer meek, his voice now strong, his heart unique. And as the city slept, unaware and deep, he vowed that no secret he would keep, for hearts long hidden no longer sleep, and silence, once powerful, began to weep. The morning broke, soft and pale, casting light over every hidden trail. He walked alone, heart heavy as a sail, yet steady, resolute, refusing to fail. The city awoke with murmurs and cries, but he heard only the truth in his eyes. A storm of longing beneath clear skies, a voice ready now to speak, to rise. He reached the palace gate, grand and wide, memories flooding like a relentless tide, of laughter shared, of moments denied, of times he had stood where shadows lied. Inside he paused, hand trembling slightly. The crown upon him glimmered brightly. Yet it was not gold, nor jewels lightly, but the words he carried that burned nightly. He remembered her voice, soft like rain, the gentlest balm to his hidden pain. Yet also the echoes of love in vain, moments lost, never to regain. He entered the hall, empty and still. Echoes of silence clung to every sill. The weight of the past, the unspoken will, pressed upon him yet could not kill. "My heart," he whispered, "has been silent too long, bound by fear, chained by wrong. But today I step forward, strong, to speak the truth that's been my song." The walls seemed to listen, the air itself, as if the palace had become a shelf, for the words he carried, for the stealth of emotions long buried, the inner wealth. He recalled the days when love was bright, when laughter lingered long into the night. But time had shadowed that tender light, and silence had claimed him in its might. Yet now he would break every shackle, every fear, every inner obstacle. No longer a man trapped in a spectacle. He would speak, though life might mock and tackle. He thought of her, of what could have been, of unspoken truths, of sights unseen. Her absence had left his world between, yet hope stirred faint, a quiet green. He raised his head, voice firm and clear, though trembling beneath, though eyes were near tears. "I speak now," he said, "with all my fears, with all my love through endless years." The hall was empty, yet the words rang, like a distant song, like the birds first sang, and in that moment his heart began to hang. No longer silent, no longer strangled in pang. He spoke of longing, of nights alone, of a crown heavy and a heart unknown, of dreams and wishes that had grown, and of a love that had silently shone. Each word a dagger, each word a balm, each phrase a storm, yet also a calm. For speaking truth is both hurt and charm, a release, a break from the inner qualm. The day passed slowly, golden and bright, yet he remained holding words tight. No one came to witness his solitary fight. Yet his soul felt liberated, shining with light. Even the winds paused to hear his tale, carrying whispers through alley and vale. The mountains echoed, the rivers pale, as Sheikh Hamdan's silence began to fail. By evening, shadows stretched long and deep, yet he felt no fear, no need to weep. His words had flown from the heart to keep, a promise to himself, no longer asleep. He knew the path ahead would not be kind, that love and fate could still entwine. Yet breaking silence had freed his mind, and in that freedom strength he'd find. He stepped outside beneath the stars' gaze, the world alive in a silver haze, and in the night, in its quiet maze, he felt his spirit ignite, ablaze. No longer a prisoner of his own design, he walked with courage, steady, aligned. Every heartbeat a silent sign that a man reborn could redefine. The city slept unaware of the vow, yet he had spoken, and the silence bowed. His voice now ready to face any row, any love, any loss, any sacred now. And as the moon traced its quiet arc, he felt the first light ignite a spark, a hope that could guide him through the dark. A voice awakened, leaving a mark. The night was thick, velvet, and profound, yet his heart beat loudly, a resolute sound. He stepped into the garden where moonlight crowned, and every shadow seemed to gather around. He thought of her face, of gentle eyes, of laughter that lingered like whispered sighs, of moments stolen beneath endless skies. of love unspoken, of hidden cries. The roses bloomed with fragile grace, yet could not conceal the pain on his face. Each petal seemed to mirror his space, a heart torn, longing for embrace. "My voice," he whispered, "is no longer still. I have spoken my truth against my will. Yet love remains, a bitter thrill, a longing I cannot seem to kill." The air was alive with the rustle of leaves, echoes of memories, shadows that grieve. Yet in this solitude his soul perceives a clarity born of silent heaves. He remembered the nights when she drew near, the softest whispers only he could hear. The warmth of her hand, the absence of fear, moments so fleeting yet crystal clear. Yet fate had separated, cruel and unkind, a distance imposed that love confined. And in the silence he had pined, a crown of solitude upon his mind. But now he spoke, each word a flame, each confession a release from shame. No longer hiding, no longer tame. His heart was a river, wild and untamed. He thought of the words he had long denied, of promises lost, of tears he had cried. Yet in speaking them now he felt allied, with truth, with courage, with pain supplied. The night seemed to bend and hold its breath, waiting for the confession, the heart's depth. And Sheikh Hamdan, feeling life's breath, prepared to speak what silence had kept. "I loved you," he whispered, "more than the stars, more than the moon, more than these scars. Though distance and time have kept us apart, know that your memory lives in my heart." The wind seemed to pause, the roses to lean, as if the universe itself had seen. The agony, the love, the spaces between, a story of longing, pure and serene. He walked further to the fountain's edge, a place of reflection, a solemn pledge. His eyes traced the waters, a shimmering wedge. Between the past and future, the fear and the ledge. "My silence has ended," he said aloud. "My heart can no longer be hidden in shroud. Though life is cruel, though fate is proud, I speak my truth, unafraid, unbowed." And in that moment he felt release, a fragile calm, a subtle peace. The chains of silence began to cease, and hope stirred softly, a quiet masterpiece. Yet even as courage filled his chest, a shadow lingered, a lingering quest. For love unreturned, for hearts distressed, can never be tamed, can never rest. He thought of her, somewhere afar, unaware of his voice, of the words that are, yet he felt connected, despite the scar, by the truth he had spoken beneath the stars. He spoke again of pain and desire, of dreams that burned, of an endless fire, of nights alone, of hearts entire, and the silence that could no longer conspire. By midnight the garden held its breath, a witness to sorrow, to joy, to death. And Sheikh Hamdan, feeling life's depth, embraced his freedom, his inner strength. The stars above shimmered like distant eyes, watching a man break chains, break ties. For silence had ended, no longer a guise, and truth now flowed beneath open skies. He lifted his head, feeling the night, every heartbeat a beacon, steady and bright. No longer hidden, no longer in fright. His voice had conquered, his soul alight. And though the path ahead was yet unknown, though hearts may ache and tears be sown, he knew in truth he had truly grown, a man reborn, no longer alone. The dawn arrived in whispers of gold, painting the city with stories untold. He walked alone, yet fearless, bold, a heart released from the silence it held cold. The palace gates, once a cage of might, now seemed gentle, bathed in morning light. No longer shadows, no longer fright. His soul embraced the clarity of sight. Memories lingered like echoes of rain, of love, of loss, of unspoken pain. Yet now each heartbeat felt less constrained, for truth had been spoken and silence drained. He thought of the ones he had loved and lost, of dreams deferred, of lines uncrossed. Yet he carried their memory, no matter the cost. A heart renewed, though once tempest-tossed. The streets awoke with laughter and cheer. Yet he moved through them without fear, for the voice within he held so dear guided him forward, steadfast and clear. He paused by the fountain where waters gleamed, reflecting a man who had long dreamed, a soul once captive, now redeemed, by courage and truth a life esteemed. He remembered her smile, her gentle gaze, the softness of nights, the tender days. Though time had parted through life's maze, her memory lingered, a gentle blaze. And yet he knew silence had cost him deep. Hours and moments he could not keep. But now his heart had learned to leap. Beyond the shadows, beyond the weep, The birds above sang in silver air, a melody tender, delicate, rare. He felt their song echo his care, a world reborn beyond despair. He thought of friends, of family near, who had stood with love, sincere and clear. Their presence reminded him year by year that silence can break yet hope endear. In the garden beneath the palm's embrace, he found himself in a sacred space. No crown, no jewels, no worldly grace, only his voice, his heart, his pace. He spoke again, softly, aloud, though no one stood to witness or crowd. My silence is broken, he vowed, unbowed. My heart is free, my spirit proud. The wind seemed to carry his words afar, over mountains, rivers, and deserts parched, a silent audience of moon and star. Witnesses to the man unmasked, unbarred. He felt the weight of the past release, a subtle calm, a quiet peace. Yet love remains, both storm and fleece, a song unfinished, a sweet caprice. He knew the path forward would not be straight, that hearts may falter and destiny wait. Yet speaking the truth had opened the gate, a chance for healing before it's too late. By afternoon the city moved around, yet in his chest a steady sound. The voice that once trembled and almost drowned now sang with courage, profoundly unbound. He thought of her wherever she roamed, of distant lands and places he'd known. Though apart, their memories had grown, a bridge of hearts that time had sown. And so he walked, steady and calm, the echo of silence replaced by balm. No longer captive, no longer a qualm, a man reborn, a soul in psalm. The evening came, bathed in amber hue, and he reflected on the journey through, of nights of sorrow, of mornings new, of breaking silence, of hearts true. He raised his gaze to the crescent moon, its silver glow like a sacred tune, a promise whispered, a quiet boon, that hearts that speak shall not swoon. And in that light he finally knew that silence can bind, but courage renews, that love, though distant, forever imbues, a life with hope, a heart with clues. He walked on beneath stars' gentle glance, feeling life's rhythm, its tender dance. No longer silent, he seized his chance, to live, to love, to speak, to advance. The city's streets glimmered in morning light, bathing the world in a gentle white. He walked with purpose, no longer contrite, each step a declaration of newfound might. The people passed, unaware of his tale, of nights of longing, of hearts frail. Yet his voice, once trapped, now set sail, carrying freedom, a wind-filled sail. He paused by the market, bustling and loud, surrounded by faces, a moving crowd. Yet in his chest he felt unbowed, his silence broken, his spirit proud. Memories of her fluttered like wings, of laughter shared and secret things. Though absent, her presence softly clings, a melody that the morning sings. He greeted friends with warmth and ease, sharing smiles that were meant to please. Yet beneath the joy, a subtle tease, of words unspoken, of hearts at peace. The palace gates opened wide and tall, inviting him forward to duty's call. Yet even in grandeur he felt no thrall, for courage had broken every wall. He sought her, in thought and in dream, through rivers, mountains, and moonlit gleam. Though apart, their souls still seemed entwined in whispers, silent, supreme. A messenger arrived with urgent news of matters that demanded his steady views. Yet he paused, recalling silent hues, the nights of longing, the hidden cues. I will speak, he murmured soft and low. To hearts I love, to hearts I know. No longer shall silence keep its hold. No longer shall fear turn love cold. And so he moved through gardens and halls, through sunlight's warmth and shadowed walls. Each word he spoke, each step he calls, resonated deep where the heart enthralls. He remembered the nights of endless thought, of battles within, of lessons taught. The silence he broke had cost and brought a courage fierce, a soul uncaught. By evening he stood upon the balcony high, gazing at stars that pierced the sky. He whispered her name, letting it fly, a prayer of hope, a heartfelt sigh. The breeze carried it across distant lands, through deserts, rivers, and golden sands, a message sent by trembling hands, of love unspoken, of life's demands. He thought of the past, of tears and pain, of silence that bound like a chain. Yet now, through courage, he would regain the chance to love, to hope, to remain. In the palace, the servants whispered low of the crowned man who seemed to glow. Yet none could know, none could show the storm inside that had begun to flow. He recalled her smile, her gentle gaze, the way she lingered in memory's haze. Though apart, through nights and days, her presence warmed his heart ablaze. He wrote a letter with trembling hand. Words of love, words unplanned, a confession long held, carefully planned, a bridge of hope across shifting sand. Though we are distant, he wrote with care, my heart has spoken, my soul laid bare. No silence remains, no hidden snare, only love enduring beyond compare. He sealed the message with a solemn vow, a promise to truth, to the here and now. Though fate may twist, though time may bow, he had broken silence he had allowed. The stars appeared, their silver gaze, witnessing courage through endless maze. A heart unbound, set forth ablaze, a man reborn in truth's pure rays. By nightfall he felt a gentle calm, a sense of peace, a quiet balm. Though love remained, both sweet and warm, he had conquered fear, embraced the storm, and in that night beneath heavens wide, he knew the silence could no longer hide. The voice he found, the tears he cried, would guide him forward with hope as guide.